Valerian in the City of a Thousand Planets is directed by Luc Besson and stars Dane, Dehaan, and Cara Delevingne as members of the Federation. No, not the Star Trek Federation, as they, do things. Yeah, you kind of lose track of the plot a little bit through this movie. So it's, kind of awkward to try and describe it. So this movie's basically like a big fan project or a passion project for director Luc Besson. You could tell he was pretty much a pretty big fan of the Valerian comic books and just really wanted to bring him to life on the big screen without really worrying about budget or, making money because, well, this movie cost like somewhere between 180 and 200 million bucks. I mean, that's the most expensive science fiction movie ever made that the title doesn't have wars or Trek in it. And this also doesn't have like a built-in fan base like Star Wars, Star Trek, Battlestar Galactica, whatever. So it's a big gamble to have to put that much money into a movie, to a series that, has just now getting off the ground with this first movie. So, unfortunately, I don't think it's gonna make back the money. But, it's like the director Luc Besson probably doesn't give a shit that he spent this much money on it, but you know what? I guess he made a movie that he really wanted to, and, did it turn out? Did this $180 million passion project turn out? When I walked out the theater after seeing this movie, first of all, when I went to the theater to see this, I went to my local Cinemark theater, and this movie was in the theater in the way back of the hallway. It's like there's a big hallway with a bunch of theaters, and it was the one in the way back. And this was opening night, mind. This isn't like 2-3 weeks down the line. This is the very back of the theater where they have the tiny theaters. It's like you got the big, large format screens in the front, you got the little ones in the back. So this was not a very highly anticipated movie. So going back to the budget for a second, the CGI in this movie is really good, though. For a $180 million movie, you have to hope that the CGI would look good. And it does. It definitely looks good, and which is definitely a plus because there's a lot of CGI in this movie. If you're not a big fan of movies that are basically two actors shot on a green screen, more or less, that's probably gonna bother you. But it's definitely a very visually stunning movie. But this wasn't just like a studio movie where it's like, hey, Universal, cough up the 200 million, let's make this bitch. I mean, at the very beginning of this movie, you got this opening scene like the making of this giant space station, and I wanted to enjoy it, but I was just getting distracted by how many freaking production companies were attached to this movie. I mean, there were just so many. It was like, so-and-so presents in association with, associated with. It's like, Jesus Christ, I guess they had to get their 200 million somehow, so it's like, alright, let's just implore like 800,000 production companies. They each give us, a little bit of money, and there's our budget. That works, right? Alright, so here's a list of all the production companies that were involved with Valerian. Yeah, I don't even know how many that is. I have no idea how many that is. Hey, future me editing this, how many is that?
It's a lot.
So while the CGI is really good, one of the pluses of the movie, the physical stuff just seems like they ran out of money doing all the CGI, so they had to improvise with some of the physical stuff, like the costumes. I mean, there's this group of soldiers in this movie that have these big black outfits, and you look at them, it's like a giant hodgepodge of like every black kind of tactical looking thing you could find. I mean, I could see that the jackets were just motorcycle jackets they glued like a bunch of shoulder pads and crap onto. So, and some of the aliens and other different creatures look pretty cool, and some of them actually look kind of original. I mean, the whole movie kind of centers around this group of aliens, these like white, tall, skinny aliens that look like the white, tall, skinny alien from Attack of the Clones. You got these 3 characters, which I think were the best characters in this movie, that basically look like Huey, Dewey, and Louie after injecting 1 marijuanas. I'll just let that image sink in. So the 2 main actors, Cara Delevingne and Dane Dehaan, I thought they were thought they were pretty good in this movie. You know, I think they definitely have some chemistry there. They definitely, it was great to see these two kind of carry the movie together. But as somebody pointed out, that Dane Dehaan basically does one giant Keanu Reeves impression throughout this movie, which yeah, I don't disagree with at all. He's like time flies when you're having fun. Yeah, let's go do these things. You know, and also, I kind of feel bad for Dane Dehaan and Cara Delevingne because, you know, they can't seem to find a franchise to latch onto. I mean, Dane Dehaan was in Chronicle, which was an excellent film, but then he went on to play Harry Osborn in Amazing Spider-Man 2, which sucked the big one, which caused Sony to be like, hey Marvel, you wanna help us out here? And of course, Cara Delevingne was in Suicide Squad playing the Enchantress. And while it wasn't a box office failure, it was a critical failure. And while I personally did not hate Suicide Squad, I don't see her making regular appearances in future Suicide Squad sequels, so give these guys a franchise already. Oh yeah, and Rihanna's in this movie as well. Rihanna, why do you keep trying to have a film career, okay? If the movie Battleship did not jumpstart your career, what makes you think this movie's going to? Alright, just stop. Just stop. And there's actually some pretty cool concepts in this movie, you know, different kind of technological things that we haven't seen before. You know, there's this area called the Big Market where these people come in, they put on these like headsets and they walk into this area and they can travel to all these different markets throughout the universe or the galaxy or whatever. And that's a pretty cool concept. And they got these different ones where, you know, you can stick your arm through this box and you can go into this market. There's some really cool stuff in this movie, but unfortunately that stuff doesn't really make this movie qualify as amazing. So there are a few action set pieces in this movie, and well, they're just kind of underwhelming. I mean, there's this one scene where they're underwater and these characters are in a submarine. There's these giant fish eel looking things, and they're supposed to escape from them. It's supposed to be like a big suspenseful moment, and you know, and it's just like, oh no, we gotta get away. And the camera's like, oh, almost got you there. Oh, almost got you again. Oh, almost got you a third fucking time. Oh, you got away. Darn, I actually had a chance of getting you guys. Not. You know, there's a set piece towards the beginning of the movie where it just feels like it drags on, and you're like, is this going anywhere? I mean, there are a few parts of the movie that just are like that. I mean, it just kind of seems like the plot just stops dead in its tracks a few times, where it's just like, okay, we're doing this thing. Oh yeah. Wasn't there something we were supposed to be doing? You know what, screw it. You know, we gotta get some other random shit in there. So the majority of this movie takes place on Alpha, which is the city of 1,000 planets, as described in the title. And when I first heard that title, I was like, okay, how can you have one city that's made up of 1,000 planets? But then, of course, it was explained at the very beginning of the movie. It was like, hey, it's not actually a city made of literally 1,000 planets, dumbass. And there's just all kinds of exposition dumps throughout this movie. You know, it's like characters will be talking, be like, hey, yada yada yada, I do things, this is this, this does that, this does this does that. And just like, you know, on the one hand, I think you kind of need to have some of that in there, because it's, you know, we're being introduced to this giant world for the very first time. So, of course, you know, we don't know what any of this crap is, so, you know, we gotta have some of it described to us, but, you know, a lot of people take issue with that, and, you know, I don't love it myself, but, you know, it's like, think back to, like, the first Harry Potter movie. There was all kinds of, be like, hey, Hagrid, what's that, or what's this? Oh, tell me more about this, you know, it's like, you know, we need that, but, you know, we don't need to know everything, you know what I mean? You know those big summer blockbuster special effects movies that use an excessive amount of one-liners and catchphrases just so they don't have to actually try for the dialogue? Well, Valerian's like that as well. I mean, there's just all kinds of just very cringy one-liners in there. You know, it's like, it's like, yeah, I get it. It's just some kind of fun little tidbits to put in there during, like, action scenes and crap. So yeah, but there's a limit, okay? I'm saying, like, some movies just don't understand where that limit is, and, you know, it's just like, come on, just write a piece of fucking dialogue. Don't just be like, haha, time flies when you're having fun. There was this one piece of dialogue in the movie that just, it it just haunts me ever since I heard it. So Dane, Dehaan, and Cara Delevingne come up on this desert planet type area, and they're supposed to dress like tourists to blend in. And they come out, and and the agents they meet up with, they're like, okay, what the hell? Why you dress like that? And Dane Dehaan's like, hey, we gotta look like tourists. What are we supposed to wear? A panda suit? What the fuck? That's of all things you could say, why would you say panda suit? Why would you suggest they wear panda suits instead? I lost sleep over that thought. On the one hand, they got some really nice visuals, some cool ideas, some okay characters, but then you got this whole other list of other issues with this movie, so it's like, I like part of it, I dislike part of it, it's a mess, that's the best way I could put it. This movie is a mess. I mean, I kinda wish I could just have, like, a copy of the movie on me right now, so I could do an in-depth, scene-by-scene review of this movie, so who knows, maybe in a few months when this movie releases on home video, maybe we'll, do some kind of video like that, but for now, I'm gonna say that Valerian, the City of a Thousand Planets, is a bit questionable. Oh, Valerian 2's never gonna happen. So, those are my thoughts on Valerian, the City of a Thousand Planets. Maybe check it out. Don't go full price. Maybe go see a matinee or an early bird showing or a discount Tuesday showing. So anyway, if you've seen Valerian, let me know down below, and we'll see you on the questionable side. Rihanna was a stripper in this movie, I'm just pointing that out.